Thank you, Peter. There are indeed a couple of questions. So one is, assuming that these tools may only be filled by qualified energy auditors, how much effort does it require from them to issue?
That's a very good question, and during the field test we have learned it's a huge effort. Auditors that attended the field test, they complained a bit about that. And that's why at the moment we are testing an interface that automatically takes data from the national calculation software and imports it to the logbook, because it's mainly the same data. So auditors have to fill in the calculation software anyway, and hopefully just by clicking a button they can export it from there and fill it into the logbook. So then the effort would be, like zero.
Yes, of course, we should add that if a country adopts the roadmap or the logbook, of course, in that case, there would be this kind of interface as part of the deployment of these tools. Of course, during a pilot testing, it makes sense that we do things manually, but if it's if a tool is going to be deployed at the national level, of course, this kind of linking should take place, and also possibly, as in the case of the Flemish ETC Plus and Woning Pass, also linked to other databases like the Cadastre and other administrative databases that might have this kind of information. Okay, an additional question on this about what additional training and qualifications are necessary for such people to be able to produce the roadmap and tools?
I think auditors usually are experts. On the other hand, we would recommend to have a special training. I think it's more to explain the whole intention behind this stepwise approach, because this is maybe not always clear. And we have a lot of advices and hints how to proceed, how to define the steps, and I think this has to be learned. And also during the field test, we saw auditors they were not familiar with this kind of thinking, and I think this is the main part of the trainings. The technical side, of course, is the same that the experts know and do anyway.
Okay, very good. We are at, time-wise, we are at the end of the webinar. I suggest we stay a couple of minutes in case there are a couple more questions. One additional question is you showed two roadmaps for the same building. So should we assume that this is an updated one? Is the updated version? Let's say that we do a roadmap this year, then we do certain works, and then a couple of years later we do an updated roadmap, or perhaps we have changed our mind, or we have done some of the works or whatever. Correct?
The roadmap usually stays the same, I think.
In the logbook, you had the link to two roadmaps.
Oh no, these are different roadmaps. You don't have to adapt them. You can, if you like to, but usually you would issue the roadmap once and then follow it maybe. You would only change it if you really change your strategy for the building. So say you don't go for a wood boiler anymore, but for a heat pump, then this would require a new roadmap. Usually you don't have to issue a new one after each step.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Additional question that just came in. Who will own the data and who will have access to it? All public agencies, private companies. homeowners could be afraid to add data on renovation if they are afraid that the property tax would increase. That's a very interesting question. I can answer part of it. First of all, an upcoming report from iBRoad will cover the aspects of data, personal data protection based on the GDPR. Of course, we're not just talking of personal data. There's also other data that that is relevant in this case, and this has been handled at the level of the data management, data organization in the logbook mostly. However, for this kind of let's call it personal and sensitive data, the principle is that the owner, the homeowner, owns this kind of information. Of course, it might be produced, the roadmap and the logbook itself at this stage at least has to be produced with the help of a professional. But as in most such cases, the result of this work is comes to the ownership of the homeowner, and the homeowner can choose to provide access to part of it, for example, even through the PDF or in other more technical ways, to specific technicians, etc., as Peter showed. However, in terms of the overall overview of this, this very much depends on whether this information is already available elsewhere. To give an example, in the Flanders Woonpas, they have done a very clever approach where the owner, through a special identity that they have for their building, can view in a single screen all the information that is available for that building, including energy performance certificates, for example, on such information, cadastre information, other administrative information, power information, etc. However, this information is not unified at the level of data management. It's just that at that point, in a live way, it is accessed, it is brought to the screen of the homeowner and shown to them. It's not shared as this package, let's say, of information is not shared, which means that the power regulation agency has access to the power information, the cadastre has access to the cadastre information, etc. So it's not that as if this information is circulating. We are looking into similar approaches here. But overall, the logic is that, for example, for statistical purposes and other ways where this information would be used in a mass way, when we have, let's say, for example, 1,000 roadmaps or 1,000 logbooks, the information would have to be anonymized in order to give this information. It's not the intention of the tool to give this information away. Quite the opposite. The logic is that it is there to serve the homeowner. I hope this answers. Of course, Peter, feel free to add any point of clarification here as well.
I think that was very complete. Maybe it's important that homeowners really have trust in the tools, and that's why we would not forward them for commercials or anything like that.
Of course, it's a matter of who implements the tool. There are at the moment roadmaps in certain countries that have been implemented by national agencies, and of course, they have their own data protection mandate. It can be private companies in other countries which we've seen. Again, there is a data management contract between the user and the company that is providing this service. I believe that we are at the end of the question. There was a question from several people about potential access to the tools for testing. What we can say at this point is that it can be arranged individually for national agencies and other authorities that would like to test it for potential deployment of their own. Much of the software is open source, and this has been made available already through our website in previous reports and deliverables. But as a service at the moment, it is running on the iBRoad servers and the consortium, and after the completion of our pilot testing, which has taken place, we are looking into further replication with other national agencies and other authorities. And for example, at the moment there is a deployment for testing with the help of the Irish Green Building Council, which is testing this in the context of Ireland with energy auditors who have also been trained through our project. So feel free again at contact at iBRoad-project.eu or using the contact form of our website to get in touch with us in case your agency or authority is interested in looking further into these tools. So I think we can close the webinar here. I see no other questions. Thank you all for your interest. Thank you for staying even beyond the original time. I hope you found it interesting. The webinar has been recorded and will be made available next week. Plus, we are also working on finalizing on-demand tutorials for the tools for anyone who is interested to have a virtual tour of the tools as the one that we have today. So, thank you. Peter, I don't know if you want to add anything. Alice, if you want to add anything?
Yeah, just a reminder for the webinar next week on the 10th of June, the last one, focusing on the stakeholders' feedback regarding the tools that Peter presented today and some other very insightful ideas and thoughts coming from the 8 countries.
Excellent. Thank you very much all, and hopefully we will be in touch, and do visit the Sustainable Energy Week, the USEF website, to see our iBRoad as a candidate, and of course all the other worthy projects that are candidates for the Citizens Award. Thank you.